Welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. In the 16th chapter of Luke, we have the story of the rich man and Lazarus with its unparalleled vision into vast eternity. There, where the rich man cried for respite from the torment of the guilty flames, Abraham is heard saying to him, "Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, likewise Lazarus evil things, but now he is comforted, and thou art tormented." It is very striking that Christ knew all about the future and yet was all but silent in reference to it. This parable is perhaps the most definite and continuous of his words about the invisible world, yet all the while it lay there before him. But he gives us only a word or two of what he sees and then shuts it in darkness and says, "You have Moses and the prophets, hear them. If these are not enough, it will not be enough for you if all the glories of heaven and all the ghastliness of hell are flashed in flame before you." Yet the two terrible words spoken in this text give us a powerful glimpse into that world beyond. Son, remember. It is the voice, the first voice, the perpetual voice, which meets every man when he steps across the threshold of earth into the presence chamber of eternity. All the future is so built upon and interwoven with the past that for the saved and for the lost alike, this word might almost be taken as a description of their whole situation, as the explanation of their whole condition. Memory in another world is indispensable to the happiness of the glad and strikes the deepest note in the sadness of the lost. Unless there were remembrance, there could be no sense of individuality. A person's conviction that he is himself is a product of remembrance. And yet for all that, when people remember there, they will remember very differently from the way in which they remember here. Let us look at these changes, constituting it on the one hand an instrument of torture, and on the other hand a foundation of all our gladness. In the other realm, memory will be so widened as to take in the whole life. Everything you do leaves its effect with you forever. Every act a person performs is eternal. We forget nothing, in the sense of not being able, at some time or another, to recall it. We forget only in the sense of ceasing for a time to have the past in our thoughts. Not only does memory contain the whole life, but also in eternity it has power to perpetually attend or haunt us. It is an unusual and happy person who, if he has nothing in his life that he has tried to bury, the obstinate thing will not be buried, but rises up and again when you come away from its fancied grave. So the soul that enters lost into another world. He has thought, he has conscience, he has remembrance. He has a sense of pain, of sin, of wrong, of loss, and he has memory. A memory, friends, that will have its own way. What a field for sorrow and lamentation that is when God says at last, "Now go apart, take thy life with thee, remember it, see what thou hast done with it." And when that verse comes, "Son, remember," to the living soul of the godless, unbelieving, impenitent person, there is bound to him the dead past, his own life, or as the poet put it, "Which way I fly is hell, myself am hell." It is also surely true that in a future realm, memory will be associated with a perfectly accurate knowledge of the consequences and a perfectly sensitive conscience as to the criminality of the past. You'll have cause and conscience put down before you, meeting each other at last. There'll be no room then to say, "I wonder how such and such a thing will work out. I wonder how such a thing can have come upon me," but everyone will have his whole life to look back upon. We'll see the childish sin was the parent of the full-grown vice, and the everlasting sorrow that came out of that little and apparently transitory root. The conscience, which becomes hardened by contact with sin, and enfeebled because unheeded, then be restored to its early sensitivity and power. Such a destiny is too awful to consider, and yet too sure to disregard. Have you talked to God today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfive-minutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.